Good evening, everyone. We're going to get ready to get started. If everyone would just find a comfortable place to stand or sit. Huh? Wonderful, wonderful. I see everybody's taking their time and finding a seat, and that's just what we want. We're going to get ready to start. All right. If everyone would just settle down and start to click in over here. We can begin. Thank you. Thank you. Well, it's wonderful to have all of you here this evening. This is an extremely special night. And we are all here to honor Oran Hesterman, who's meant so much to all of us in probably different ways. First, I just want to thank our staff, the planning committee, vendor partners who have worked hard over the last few months to plan this evening. So if we just take a moment and give them a round of applause, just thanking them. Woo! That's right. We especially want to recognize the featured food entrepreneurs, the delicious food you've been eating this evening, with a focus on BIPOC and women-led businesses. Thank you, thank you. That's important. The Kitchen by Cooking with Q. Q is here with us tonight. Thank you, Q, for all that you do. Crooked Face Creamery. They provided the delicious dairy. Thank you. And Egg Roll Diva, who is here with us tonight as well. Egg Roll Diva. Let's give it up for Egg Roll Diva. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all that you do. We appreciate you. So we are here tonight to give tribute to Oran Hesterman and all that he's done for us and our Fair Food future. Oran founded Fair Food Network in 2009 with an entrepreneurial spirit and an unwavering commitment to our mission to grow community health and wealth through food. After 13 years as CEO, it is now time for Fair Food Network's next chapter. As Oran transitions to a new role as founder and resident champion, and Kate Kraus, our current executive director and chief operating officer, will take on a new stage in her leadership as CEO. It is in this moment that we want to celebrate, appreciate, recognize, and reflect on the leader Oran has been for Fair Food Network and throughout his career. And the legacy he leaves us with all is to sustain and carry forward this really, really important work. First up, let's take a look back with this video retrospective of Oran's career journey over the last 50 years.
When I first started my career as a farmer out in California, there was certainly no such thing as a good food movement.
I've known Oran since he was 6 years old. He's always been concerned about food growing in the earth and how it benefits people.
Early in my career, I created an alfalfa sprout business. I was growing and selling alfalfa sprouts. It really grew into a pretty thriving small business.
He was in a very small group of sort of individual entrepreneurs. Somebody shows up who's got their sprouts that they're making.
When I started my career as an academic at Michigan State University, there was no such thing as a good food movement.
He had a different outlook on a lot of the work that he was doing, and we needed that at Michigan State.
He was really starting to build, through his work, a foundation for more sustainable agriculture in Michigan. He was exploring what we now call food systems back then.
He was pushing this very different vision. Words like sustainable were controversial words.
I was relatively early in my career, and I was accepted into the Kellogg National Fellowship Program.
He used terms like sustainable agriculture. He was very excited and invested and determined that this should be.
During my time at Kellogg Foundation, we had aspirations that there would be the growth of a movement that could help really propel food systems into a place of greater sustainability, greater equity, greater support of local economies.
Oran was always confident and determined and kind of on a mission.
He delivered more money at the right time in the right place in support of the local food movement than anyone else in the world.
The funding investments that were made under his leadership at the Kellogg Foundation, I think really set the course for much of what we see in this today.
He helped to really move things to a broader systemic understanding and definitely embrace the recognition that the broken food system disproportionately affected people of color.
Some of the early conversations that Oran prompted at the Food and Society meetings really helped that conversation along.
One of the greatest things that they did was not just give money to grantees, but also like bring grantees together. I think it seeded so much.
Out of those convenings came brilliant ideas and organizations.
He has always been looking for additional partners, that it was never going to go forward without a whole lot of other people.
From the get-go, when Fair Food Network first was established, and informed a lot because of its work in Detroit, that racial and social equity were placed at the center of the work.
Was on the ground floor, I'm proud to say, of Double Up Food Bucks. What was actually Mo Bucks first, because it started in Detroit in Motown.
And the idea for some form of local incentive that could benefit both vulnerable households and local growers, we were there at the beginning with the pilot.
With the Fair Food Network, Oran has used his relationships, his influence, and his access to funding to advance the movement for a more just, equitable, and sustainable food system.
That's what Oran helped this field do, is see that complex system in its fullness and start imagining what the future could look like if we actually built a system that reflects our values.
I see my great friend Oran Hesterman here and our great Fair Food Network folks. Back in 2009, we had 5 farmers markets in Detroit that started something in part with a Kellogg Foundation grant. Now it's nationwide. We want to build on that, but that idea came from the community.
He tackled the thing that we often talk about in philanthropy, and that is shifting policy. Shifting policy and shifting narrative, and really catapulted the food discussion to different heights.
I can tell you there are any number of organizations and federal policies that would not be in existence right now had it not been, first of all, for Oran's imagination, and secondly, for his tenacity in terms of finding ways to implement his ideas.
So what I have seen throughout my career is really from the seed of an idea that there could be this kind of change to the growth of a movement that is creating a more sustainable future for all of us.
Well, first of all, welcome. Thank you all for being here. Some of you locals and some of you have traveled from a long way. Great to be with you tonight. And I've just got to say to my daughter, Sarah, who put together this video, thank you. Thank you. I don't know if there's another father out there that can feel more love coming from his daughter than I'm feeling right now from her. So I want to take you back. It's 1989. Lucinda and I bring our 3 children and my mother to Brazil for the summer on an economic development project. The last week of the summer, Sarah's back to the States with grandma. Lucinda and I take our 2 boys up to the Amazon, meet 2 Kellogg fellows, Chris and Bobby. We hook up with Suarez, a native Amazonian Indian who grew up in a village in the North Amazon. 3 hours on a bus ride from Manaus, 3 hours on a boat ride up the Rio Urubu. We get dropped off and picked up a week later. We are deep in the rainforest. The last night we're there, we're in the dugout canoe across the river with Suarez, hiking up to a place where he wants us to hear the big cats come alive as it gets dark. Chris, Oran, and Lucinda, Suarez says, walk down this little trail and you're going to hear the jungle really come alive as it gets dark. At the bottom of the trail, there's Plínio, Suarez's young Brazilian assistant, only speaks Portuguese. So what are you doing down here? And in our broken Portuguese, we say, well, Suarez says, come down and hear the jungle come alive as it's getting dark. He has a machete. We're following him. There's no path. Cutting through the brush. It's so thick you can barely see in front of your face. It's starting to get dark. Plínio, do you know your way back to camp? But he keeps going, slashing the brush, and we keep walking behind him. Now, I have heard the term how fear can rise up into your throat. Well, I've experienced that, my friends. It was happening that night. It's getting dark. Plínio sits down at a little place where the last vestige of light up through the canopy to smoke a cigarette. I go take the machete from him. We're not taking another step until we know whether we're going back to camp or farther away. This is our last night there. Our boys, Bryce and Matt, are back in camp with Suarez. We got to get back to them, and we don't know how to do it. Lucinda and Chris collecting firewood. The only resource I have is my voice. I summon up all the energy I have and yell as loud as I could. On the 3rd yell, the faintest reply. For the next 45 minutes, the 4 of us are holding hands, taking 3 steps, yelling, hearing the reply, taking 3 more steps in that direction. Pretty soon, we meet Suarez. He has a flashlight. So we're now running with him back to the camp because he says, it's not safe out here in the dark. We have to get back to where there's a campfire. So we get back. Later that evening, as we're sitting around the campfire, Suarez tells us that, oh, a few months ago, some German tourists were here and it took them 5 days to get found in a situation like yours. But then he tells us, in the jungle, in the forest, there are good spirits and there are bad spirits. If you despair, if you lose hope, the bad spirits will come and lead you deeper into the jungle. If you hold on to hope, the good spirits will always come and lead you out. And I got to tell you, that's probably the most important lesson that I have ever learned in my life about leadership, how important hope is. And when I think about the thread throughout my career, throughout 50 years of working in food systems work, hope has played a role at every step. Back at the home farm in Santa Cruz, which is now the Center for Agroecology and Sustainable Food Systems. But back then, we were hippie organic farmers on university property with a lot of people telling us this is not something that ought to be done. That this was before the days of organic labels, my friends, before Whole Foods and before all the, the kind of movement we see now. And I had a lot of folks wondering what a nice Jewish boy from Berkeley is doing barefoot out on this farm. But I knew that we needed to figure out a different way to feed ourselves for the future that could sustain us on this planet. And I knew we could do it because we were experimenting with a different way to do it, all based on hope for the future. When I became many years later a university professor at Michigan State, I found myself nearly being thrown out of faculty meetings when I would talk about sustainable agriculture and organic farming. Not something an agronomist back in those days should be talking about, according to many of the senior faculty. But again, holding on to hope, holding on to a vision of hope of how we are going to create a food system that can feed us for the future. And of course, at Kellogg Foundation, the opportunity to be engaged there with many colleagues and many partners all over the country, and realizing that there were sparks of hope all across the country, many times individuals, small organizations working to create something better, a better food system that can feed us, and realizing that we had the opportunity at the foundation to coalesce those sparks into a fire of hope for the future. So convening people, much like we're doing this evening, convening people at food and society meetings, food and community meetings, many different ways to bring people together. And out of those grew many marvelous efforts like Food Corps, Farm to School, many, many organizations and pieces of this movement. Something I learned when I was there is this quote from the pioneers that I love. If you want to heal any system, connect it to more of itself. To heal any system, connect it to more of itself. And that's what we kept doing at Kellogg Foundation, always based on a vision of hope for the future. And when I wrote the book, Fair Food, one of the reasons I wrote it was because most of what you could find in the literature though back in those days was information about all the problems, not a lot about the solutions, and solutions are based on hope. So again, hope is that thread. And then a moment that I lived through with many of you, and most of you have heard about, where the Fair Food Foundation sprouted, blossomed, and very quickly went away because Bernie Madoff took the money and overnight that project was done. Well, that was a moment where my hope was really tested. And I had to bring myself right back to that farm in Santa Cruz, standing there realizing what my life was really about. And it was holding on to hope that helped me start Fair Food Network. It said, you know, this work is important. All Bernie Madoff got was the money. So let's keep the work going. And we all know none of us can do this by ourselves. This is all about standing on the shoulders of others who have come before us and standing shoulder to shoulder with each other to do the work. That's the only way that hope can actually make a difference in action. And I think about, at a moment when I'm able to reflect back, I think about some of those who came before me with hope. And the first folks I think about are some of my ancestors. I think about my grandparents. I think about my grandfather, who 2 generations ago left Ukraine to come to this country, having no idea what he was going to find, but he was driven by hope. Hope that the next generations in his family could find a better life. So I have to, at this moment, bless and thank my grandparents for having made that journey. But I also think about the support that I've received from my family. I mean, you just saw an example of it this evening from Sarah. The support and encouragement that I get from my family, the support and encouragement that I get from my colleagues, from all of you who have come from many different places to be here tonight. And I think about the support that I have gained from all of my professional colleagues, my major professors, the students I've interacted with, my colleagues at the university, at the foundation, on the farm, and now our family at Fair Food Network. We make a difference holding on to hope when we stand shoulder to shoulder and work together. Holding on to hope also means to me sticking to it. One of my favorite parts of a gathering like this is when I get to meet young people, and I met some of you tonight who I've never met before, and I hear stories about the passion you have about working for the betterment of families and communities through food. And the message I have for you is stick with it. Hold on to hope and stick with it. Don't let anybody tell you that you should be doing anything differently than you're doing. One of the most hopeful signs that I have had an opportunity to encounter in the last few months is the White House Conference on Hunger, Nutrition, and Health, the first such conference in over 50 years. What a hopeful sign that our work is now reaching a level of national conversation that you need if we're going to make the changes that we dream about. What a hopeful sign. And I have to just say that with experiencing this kind of like holding on to hope, I'm not a naive person. And I realize how lost we are as a human community in so many ways. Whether we think about a pandemic, we think about the effects of climate change that are coming at us fast, and other types of environmental degradation, the increase in food-related disease that could bankrupt our country if we don't do something about it. The uncertain economy that we live with, the racial and social inequities that are all around us, the kind of political divisions and divisiveness we see. We are lost in many, many ways. So my friends, what I have to say tonight from my experience is, if we let ourselves despair, just like Suarez says, we go deeper into that morass. That if we are going to find our way out of this wilderness that we find ourselves in, it's going to happen because we hold on to hope. Because we hold on to hope. So with that, I just want to express a few appreciations for where we are tonight, but also the journey that I have been on. And again, my first appreciation is to my family, to Sarah and Tim, to Matt and Paulina, to Bryce and Claire, and to my beloved Lucinda, that without your support and encouragement, none of this would be happening. Thank you. And I want to thank my broader family and close friends, many of you in Ann Arbor, but those of you who have come from Northern Michigan, from New York, from Washington, D.C., from Boston, and North Carolina. Thank you so much for coming and helping me celebrate this moment. And I want to really celebrate the staff at Fair Food Network. So a big shout out to all of you, because the work that we've accomplished is amazing. And it's only because we have worked together and continue to work together. So thank you for your dedication, for your hard work, and for the joy you bring to this work. And I've got one more appreciation I want to do. And to do this appreciation, I want to ask my colleagues from Kellogg Foundation to come up. Stand there, because I'm gonna read this. I want to read a resolution honoring the W.K. Kellogg Foundation on the occasion of the retirement of Oran B. Hesterman from his role as CEO of Fair Food Network and the celebration of 50 years of progress in the good food movement. Whereas the W.K. Kellogg Foundation has been a leading and guiding force in the movement toward a more sustainable and equitable food system, beginning with its founder and continuing to the present day, focused on eliminating inequities in access to healthy food for children, families, and communities, while supporting food entrepreneurs and building equitable and economically just local and regional food systems. Whereas W.K. Kellogg Foundation has provided fuel and inspiration for hundreds of community-based organizations and leaders in the field through its strategic and patient grant making, while also helping to build collaboration and connections in the philanthropic world by working to establish and support efforts such as the Sustainable Agriculture and Food System Funders, the Global Alliance for the Future of Food, and Convergence Partnership. And whereas there is no other institution that comes close to the impact the W.K. Kellogg Foundation has had on Oran, and on the food systems change that he has had the opportunity to participate in from the time he was a Kellogg National Fellow in 1987 to 1990, through his tenure as Program Director in Food Systems Rural Development from 1996 to 2008, and in his roles with Fair Food Foundation and Fair Food Network, supporting both community-based programs and policy and systems change. Be it resolved that the Fair Food Network Board of Directors and Oran B. Hesterman honor W.K. Kellogg Foundation as a premier philanthropic and cultural leader in the movement toward a more equitable and sustainable food system, and celebrate the strong and enduring partnership between our organizations. This is signed by the Fair Food Network Board of Directors, including me. And I just want to let you know how meaningful it is in my life to have had this partnership for so much of my career.
Amen. And on behalf of the Kellogg Foundation, we say thank you. Us here and several of our colleagues are also online. But most importantly, our CEO, LeJune Montgomery Tabron, who wanted to be here. She really wanted to be here because she and Oran go way back and have a very special connection and relationship. However, she is coming to us virtually.
Thank you for those extremely generous words of recognition for the Kellogg Foundation's long-standing work to support efforts to create sustainable food systems that nourish the bodies and souls of children and families and communities. Oran, in many ways, it's no surprise that you would turn a celebration of your career into an opportunity to recognize others, because that's the kind of leader you've been in the food systems movement throughout your life. For 50 years, you have been imagining, building, fighting for, and working with others to realize a world where local sustainable food production ensures that every child, family, and community has access to fresh, nutritious, and affordable food, and the thriving life it supports. And at each step, you didn't just forage for change around the edges of our broken food systems. Throughout your career, you helped clear a path, forge a movement, and establish a vision for a fair food future. Your vision led to Double Up Food Bucks and Michigan Good Food Fund. Did you ever imagine that Double Up Food Bucks would be scaled across the state of Michigan and in 23 other states? Next stop, all 50. After 35 years at the Kellogg Foundation, I'm no stranger to retirement parties. However, I'm truly sorry to miss this chance to celebrate with you, Oran, because this isn't just a moment to honor the monumental career of a transformative leader in the fight for food justice. It's an opportunity to acknowledge the remarkable achievements of someone special to us at the foundation, a 1997 Kellogg National Fellow, a former colleague, a fellow champion for racial equity, and a friend. Oran, congratulations on your well-deserved retirement. And thank you for helping build an amazing organization like the Fair Food Network that has facilitated tremendous policy and systemic change in food and agriculture and directly helped thousands of children, families, and communities eat and lead healthier lives. You are an inspiration to all of us.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Kalak Foundation. Thank you, Oran. We appreciate you taking the time to talk with us. And thank you, LaJune. Your words meant a lot to us. We have one other very important guest who is not able to attend in person tonight, but it's going to be with us virtually. I wanted to say a few words. U.S. Senator Debbie Stabenow.
Good evening. I wish I could be there in person, but I couldn't pass up an opportunity to honor my great friend and partner, Oran Hesterman. Oran and I go way back, and as long as I've known him, he's been a trailblazer for access to healthy food. He started his advocacy early, working on the country's first student organic farm during his days at UC Santa Cruz. He established Fair Food Network in 2009, as you know, with a clear vision to transform the food system. This transformation has the power to lift up communities, increase access to healthy food, address inequities, support our farmers, build resiliency in the face of climate change. I could go on and on. When Oran came to me to share the great work that Fair Food Network was doing at Detroit farmers markets, I knew we needed to replicate this across the country in the Farm Bill. It's never easy to get Congress to yes, but we did it together. Oran's leadership allowed us to create the Food Insecurity Nutrition Incentive in the 2014 Farm Bill. We later expanded and renamed the program the Gus Schumacher Nutrition Incentive Program, or we call it GusNIP, in the 2018 Farm Bill. Here in Michigan, we call it Double Up Bucks. And this program revolutionized the relationship between SNAP recipients and local farmers. It's always a joy when we can take successful programs from the great state of Michigan and implement them at the national level. And this would not have been possible without Oran's leadership. Thank you for your partnership in this journey, Oran. I'm so fortunate to have worked with you and the team you have built at Fair Food Network. You've made a real difference in people's lives and made our communities stronger. And I know you're committed to continuing to do this work. Enjoy the rest of the celebration. You have earned it.
Thank you, Debbie Stabenow. We appreciate her words. I also want to announce that just this week, Oran was awarded the Tufts University 2022 Jean Meyer Prize for Excellence in Nutrition, Science, and Policy for his career efforts and achievements around advancing nutrition security. This prize recognizes global leaders and visionaries in nutritional science and policy who have achieved real-world impact that improves health, well-being, and sustainability. Congratulations, Oran. We are now going to pause for a moment to pass out a glass of champagne to each of you in preparation for a toast. They'll be coming up at the end. For those of you at home, feel free to take a moment to grab yourself a glass to enjoy. While the champagne is being passed out, I'd like all of us just to think about times in our own life on this incredible human journey we are on, where we've had to reinvent ourselves, sort of switch gears, and have hope and faith that we're going to be able to be on a new path and reinvent ourselves, whether in a new career or in a new relationship, and just try to keep that in mind and that sort of energy as we congratulate Oran and wish him well on his new discovery. And I'd also like to take a moment to thank Lucinda, because behind every great, successful individual, there's a partner there who helps and supports and listens and shows up. So thank you, Lucinda, for helping Oran be wonderful. Awesome. So I see the champagnes being passed out. Wonderful. It looks like those who have champagne, if you have a glass or if you have a glass of water that you want to utilize, let's start to prepare to holding up our glass. That's right. Awesome. And let's just wish Oran well on his new journey. And thank him so much for all that he's done for us. We appreciate Oran. Congratulations, Oran. Thank you. Toast, toast. And are there any comments from the Zoom chat that want to be shared? Oh, it says Zoom chats? No? Awesome. Thank you. I'll take a glass if you could put it on that table for me. I appreciate you so much. That, yeah, on the black one, please. Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. Thank you. Awesome. So some recognition from Zoom chat. So happy to celebrate with you. So glad to be here. That's from Liz. Michael Schumann. Hi, all. Phyllis Meadows. Congratulations, Oran. Wish I could be there in person, in spirit. Liz Alpern, tuning in from NYC. Grateful to be here. Bahira Sugarman, we are delighted to be here to honor Oran Hesterman and his legacy to humanity. You know who you are. Love is all around. We are one. Megan Verred, proud sister in North Carolina, California. Liz Alpern, Oran has been one of my greatest champions for over a decade. I'm so glad to be honoring him, his work. Liz Baker, congratulations to Oran and Kate, turning in from Vermont. Awesome. Thanks for everybody who joined us on Zoom. Do you want to invite Gary? So at this time, I would like to invite Gary Apple and Kate Cross up to the stage.
We can do that. So, Kate, you go on the other side. So, you know, yes, on the one hand tonight, you know, I'm like trying to absorb this. You can't hear it? Yeah. Absorb, you know, the tribute and the legacy But tonight is also about a leadership transition at Fair Food Network. So when I thought about how you transfer that kind of leadership, and at Fair Food Network, we run fast. Our staff knows this, right? We don't stand still. So it's kind of like passing a baton in a relay. But we needed a very special baton to pass. So we have ourselves a very special baton to pass. So I am passing the carrot baton of leadership at Fair Food Network. I pass it to Kate, but I pass it through our board of directors, who I thank for all of your dedication and work in this very special and important role you play in our organization. And Gary Apple is chair of our board at Fair Food Network. So Gary, passing the carrot baton back to you.
It is truly my honor to pass the torch, or in this case, the carrot, to an exceptional leader who I only have one thing to say to her: go forth and multiply.
Thank you. Oh my goodness, what an honor. The carrot of honor. That's too far away. Oh, wow. So this is lovely. Thank you to Oran and those of you who figured out the carrot. It's actually really beautiful if you can't see it. It's like this glass, beautiful thing. Anyway, I'm just so grateful to be here and so grateful to see all of you. Thank you for coming out and celebrating Oran. And I'm just delighted to be able to have the opportunity to take on the mantle of continuing your legacy, continuing the great work of Fair Food Network, this amazing organization that we all know and love. And really, in particular, the great work of all of you, like the staff who are here. We have the most amazing group of people who are dedicated, smart, committed. It's so fun to work with you all every day. So thank you. I'm really excited for the future. When I came to Ann Arbor 7-8 years ago, there were a lot of things I didn't know. I didn't know that I would meet that man back there, the love of my life, Dave, who became my husband. I didn't know that I would get to meet all of you and develop all these new friends, become really grounded in Ann Arbor and really feel like a Michigander. All of those things happened. So those are things I didn't know. There were some things that I did know. I did know that I was coming to an organization that was doing transformational change, innovative work that I was so excited to be part of. And I did know that I was going to have this incredible opportunity to learn at the knee of one of the pioneers of the food movement, the man who literally wrote the book on the work that I have devoted my life and career to advancing. So what a wonderful ride it's been. And I was going to take this moment to announce what Melanie shared about the John Mayer Award. This is actually like a really big deal, you all. And it's a wonderful capstone. I actually wrote down, so it recognizes global leaders and visionaries in nutrition science and policy who achieve real world impact that improves health, well-being, and sustainability. And that's it. Like the real world impact, I think, is what I love about this organization. And I am so grateful to you for helping teach me how to advance. And by the way, this award is given to folks like Senator Tom Harkin, Secretary Vilsack, and other notable luminaries in this space. So you're in pretty remarkable company. And I think it's not only like a testament, a capstone for your career, but how amazing that this timing that it happened like 2 days before this event. So let's just take a moment to congratulate you on that one again. So my commitment to you, and really my commitment to all of you, is to carry on that legacy and carry on the good work that Fair Food Network has done, making food and farming be a source of health, a source of well-being, and a source of inclusive, robust, resilient economies. I want to pivot here for a minute, because the work of Fair Food Network, so we've talked a lot about the work that you've done as a food and farming leader. We've seen videos, the remarks from Senator Stabenow, but really what I wanted to talk about is something more personal, which is not Oran as food systems leader, but Oran as mentor. Because I have had the great good fortune of spending 7 years with you as mentor. And so many of you, I think, have had this honor in one way or another. And so if you've had the good fortune of working with Oran as a mentor, you know that it's like a super immersive experience, right? It's not like you know, a couple of new Harvard Business Review articles or some pearls of wisdom dropped casually. It's like Oran engages intellectually, philosophically, like spiritually with his mentorship. And I feel like not only a better leader, but a better person as a result of it. So I just want to thank you. Thank you, Oran, for that, for all the work that you've done mentoring not just me, and not just the folks at Fair Food Network, but this generation of leaders that have passed through your orbit on the way to other organizations, on the way to other opportunities to make impact in the food system. So on behalf of all of us, thank you. I want to thank you for your wisdom, your guidance, your pushing me, whether I wanted you to push me or not. And most importantly, for always, always having my back. Thank you for that. So there's a lot more that I could thank Oran for, but I was told to keep it to 5 minutes. So I'm not gonna read the list that's literally actually on the other side of this document, and I'm not gonna invite all of the folks out there that I know have things to thank you for up here, but I am gonna do this. We have a little token of our appreciation. This is the inaugural Fair Food Network Growing the Good Award. I want to thank you. Present the inaugural award to Oran Hesterman. And so you'll see here that there's a little trowel, and the tagline of Fair Food Network for many years has been growing the good. And when I asked Oran, he said he already has a couple shovels, many shovels for his work, you know, in the garden. But so growing the good, like think about the connection between growing the good and Oran. Like this is a man who spent his career in agronomy and has this incredible, like remarkable backyard garden, and has done literally the work of growing the good for years. And also metaphorically and spiritually, the work of growing the good that, as I said, has mentored all of us and has really spread the love so far. And so we also got you a shovel. But this is my favorite one, because you've said that you intend to be spending more time with your grandkids and more time, you know, teaching them all the things that he's teach all of us. So we have a small version so that we can help you in your drive to teach the next generation to grow the good. And with that, if you have any more champagne in your glass, let's take a moment. I'll give you a second to find it. There we go. All right. So thank you. So let's raise a glass to Oran for vision, for your passion, and especially for your ability to inspire hundreds, thousands of people to actually make it happen. To Oran Hesterman, to his legacy and to the future. Thank you.
Kate, don't go anywhere. Thank you. So, Sarah, this is not on the program, but if you will allow me one more story. So I'm going to take you back now to 2009. Fair Food Foundation had collapsed. Jean, you're here somewhere, right? Jean and I were like trying to get Fair Food Network up and going. And this was happening at a time when my beloved Lucinda was also having some major health issues. So we found ourselves headed to Boulder, Colorado to visit a healer that was very important for her. And we visited with somebody who I consider one of our spiritual teachers. And some of you here also know him, Reb Zalman Dr. Shalomi. So we got to visit Reb Zalman in his basement one day. And so he visited with Lucinda and asked her what's going on. And he was really helping her on her healing path. Then he turns to me and he says, so like, what's up with you? And it's like, well, what's up with me is that like this foundation thing was happening and I thought that was going to be the rest of my career, and that kind of Madoff took all the money, so it's not happening. And I told him like a short version of this. He says, wait 1 minute. He walks back to the back of his room. He opens up a little drawer on a chest. He takes out a gold dollar. He puts it in my hand and he says, may this be the start of you recovering all that you need to make your work flourish for the future. Well, that was almost 14 years ago. There's power in this coin, let me tell you. So this is a fitting moment for me to pass this on to you. So may the power that $1 can, when Gary, when you say be fruitful and multiply, that's what I'm thinking about. May that multiply many, many times over for you, for Fair Food Network, and for the future of the work.
That was beautiful, Oran. Thank you so much. Well, thank you everyone for attending this wonderful event, for bringing your good energy, your warmth. Thank you for those who attended virtually. The party's gonna wrap itself up in its own way, but you're welcome to stick around, talk to folks, maybe have another snack. There's delicious desserts here. Just a reminder though, that there are gift bags to take on your way out. The orange Fair Food Network bags are filled with all sorts of sampling products from featured Fair Food Fund and Michigan Good Food Fund entrepreneurs. Jetta's a gourmet popcorn, Aza hibiscus tea, 88 Acres granola bars, and Soldadera Mexican cold brew. So we're wrapping up this evening. Thank you for everything. We appreciate you. Woo! That's right. Take care, everybody. With a motion and